Welcome everyone to day 30. This is the last and final day. And today, this one might be a little tough, but I just wanted to introduce you to a tapping riff. Now, tapping itself, of course, this technique will take time to develop unless you're already practicing it, because you also have to build a callus on your, your other fingers. And there's a few different ways to do it. So I'll show you a few ways, just an introduction on how to do it. And maybe I'll do a full-length video if you're interested in learning more. I don't tap a real lot when I'm soloing. Like I think it's a great thing to use a little bit. Some people use it a ton though, like Eddie Van Halen or Joe Satriani. Like they're just constantly tapping. Steve Vai, they use it a ton. So it's up to you how you want to play. It has a very different sound to it though. So it's definitely like I just in my perception, I think a lot of people either play that way or they don't, and it's pretty rare to find people like who kind of, it's either a very little bit and they play more in the pentatonic style. Not that it's not in the pentatonic scale, because this riff will be in the pentatonic scale, this run, but they play that more fluid, what they call legato, where you're constantly playing like three note. You always have your hands spread wide like this. And that tends to be the way people play that tap a lot. Okay, so you can use it a little bit. I think it's nice to mix in every now and then. Gives it a very different sound, but it's also very distinct. Like someone who mixes it in a little bit is like Randy Rhoads from Ozzy. You see, like he doesn't do it a ton. He doesn't overdo it, but he uses it a little bit. Like in the solo for Crazy Train, you'll see in the very beginning he does that. Okay, so let's get into it real quick. I'll just show you how to do the technique. There's a few different ways. So. The way I like to do it, especially if I play Crazy Train solo, the way I like to do it is with my pick. So the only thing though is with your pick, that's for a quick one. For this riff that we're going to do, it's probably better to use your, not to give you a finger, but the second finger. We're going to use the middle finger to tap on, because that way you can still hold your pick for the last note that you're going to pick with the pick. Okay? Some people, like Eddie Van Halen, I think he grabs the board like this and he'll tap like this with his finger and hold the pick in his fingers like this, So he'll do that. So there's many ways you can do it. For this run, the best way probably is to use your middle finger and to keep the pick in the fingers, because we're going to pick the last note, okay? But you can always play around and do it different. You can pick the string with your second finger still, or with your first finger if you want. You can tap and then pick the string with your first finger. There's unlimited ways you can do it. But the way I'm going to show you today is with your second finger as the hammering on and keeping the pick between your fingers. When you do this, it's definitely going to take time to be accurate with it, but what you really want to focus on is being accurate with this second finger, because that's the first one that's going. So you want to get a nice clean hit with that, and you're probably not used to doing that, so it's going to take more focus. Now, we're going to do this in the A minor pentatonic, and let me get some clean on here. Okay. So obviously it'll be a lot easier to do just like hammering on and pulling off with a lot of distortion on. Now we're going to do it in the first position in A minor pentatonic, and we're just going to be hammering on, tapping with our finger on the second position. 3 notes on the second position. So you're going to set your fingers up, first finger on the 5th fret of the first string, and third finger or 4th finger, whatever you want to do, on the 8th fret of the first string. And then we're going to hammer on to the 10th fret with the second finger. Okay? So like this. So you can practice that first, because it's going to take some time to build up that strength, I guess, And just practice like that, hammering on, making it sound, right? So what I do when I pick it is I keep my first finger on the 5th fret and I just hold that there, and that's what I pull off to. So I hammer on the 10th fret, and when you hammer on, you pick it with your finger to make it sound, see? I hammer on and then I pluck down kind of, so I go. And you can practice like that, just keep hammering on, try to get it clean, right? It's going to take some time. But if you're interested in playing this way, it'll be worth it. So you'll have another tool in your toolbox, right? So the way we're going to do it is hammer on to the 10th fret with your second finger on the first fret on your right hand. So, and pull off to the 5th fret on the first string. So, and then you're going to hammer on with your 3rd finger on the 8th fret. So like this. Like that, see? Okay, so 10, pull off to 5, hammer on to 8. And then hammer on again on the 10th fret with your 2nd finger on your right hand. Keep the 3rd finger or 4th finger on the 8th fret, and then pull all 3 of them off. So 10, pulling off to 8, pulling off to 5. Like that. So the whole thing will be like this so far. Like that. The 10 is always played with your 2nd finger on your right hand. And just like that, real slow. So the most important thing I would say is getting that 2nd finger to ring the note. Because if you tap light, like, or it hits the fret, or you miss a little bit, or it doesn't get it, it doesn't make it sound, then you won't be able to pull off to the other notes and you won't hear everything the same level. You want to try to make everything the same level as best you can. Of course, it's not going to be perfect, but... And it's mainly going to be the technique that's difficult at first, because it's very simple run, actually. It's not complicated. It's all in the 1st position, just tapping onto the 2nd position. So you do the same thing on every string. We did that, just what we did on the 1st string. Now you move up to the 2nd string and do the same exact thing. So you hammer onto the 10, pull off to the 5, and again, you can practice that first. You're going to get sore, just like when you build up your calluses on your left hand, you're going to have to do the same thing on your right hand, okay? Just the way it is, right? So 10 to 5, and then you're going to hammer on the 8th with the 3rd or 4th finger on the 2nd string, and then keep that on, hit the 10 again, pull off 10, 8, 5, like this. Just like that. Slowly. Just a side note, I try to kind of mute the other strings if I can with my 1st finger. So like my 1st finger is intentionally touching the 1st string so it doesn't ring unnecessarily, and also it's touching the 3rd string. So those strings don't ring, right? I kind of have my finger lying a little flat so it touches them. So you just try to do that, especially if you play with a lot of distortion, you know that you get a lot of feedback, right? And other strings ring very loudly, so if you don't mute everything. So you kind of try to like monitor that as best you can when you're picking and playing with a lot of distortion. It sounds very sloppy if you let everything else sound. So you want to kind of try to really isolate what you're playing so it rings out very clear and loud. Right? That's one of the benefits of having a lot of distortion. If you just let everything ring, then you won't hear what you're playing very clear, and you want it to sound crisp, right? So it stands out, really. So go over the first 2 strings again, just the 1st string and the 2nd string, same thing on both. So hammering on to 10 with your 2nd finger, pull off to 5, hammer on with the 8, the 8th with the 3rd finger, and then 10, pull off to 8, pull off to 5 on the 1st string and the 2nd string like this. So 2nd string, and very slowly both of them together like this. So this is the nice thing, when you hammer on with the 2nd finger on the 2nd string, that gives you time to switch your finger because you're hammering on here first, the 10th fret, so you don't have to have your finger there right away, just when you pull off. So like that, see? And then the last one, you just come up 1 fret. So you use your second finger on the 9th fret. Bring your first finger on the 5th fret still, but on the 3rd string. Your third finger is on the 7th fret now. And you're going to hammer on to the 9th fret on the 3rd string. So you're going to start same pattern though. So you're hammering onto the 9, pulling off to the 5, hammering on with the 7, the 3rd finger, 9, 5, 7. And then hammer on the 9 again, 7, 5. So like this. Just like that. A little faster. Like that. And then the last note is going to be the 7 on the 4th fret. So, and then that's when you use the pick. You just pick that note. And I usually do it up here. So you're already up here, so you just pick it here. Like at the 11th or 12th fret. You just pick it where your hand is. Okay? And that's it. That's the whole riff. So I'll show you real slow how we go through. It's going to be 10, 5, 8, 10, 8, 5. Second string, 10, 5, 8, 10, 8, 5. Third string, 9, 5, 7, 9, 7, 5. And then the 7th fret on the 4th string. That's the whole run. So like this, real slow. And I picked that last one, so. And that's the whole thing. So I know that one's a little complex, a little complicated, but I wanted to give you at least one tapping lick in this whole pentatonic series, just so you can see that you can just as easily tap, you know, with the pentatonics. So just keeping in mind that you have a lot of options, you know. I'm not too big on tapping personally. I'm not like an expert at it or anything, but I think it is good to have in your toolbox, you know. Sometimes it change it up a little bit. It's always good to change up the way your style sounds, right? And, you know, keep your options open so you can be able to play everything. So you don't have to go crazy in it, but it's a nice thing to experiment with, play around with it, see if you come up with something cool, right? So thanks for spending this whole 30 days with me, and let me know any feedback, anything you need more clarity on, we're not so sure about. Let me know if they were a little too difficult for you or too easy, and we'll try to find something in between for more runs, more licks on this channel, right? So until next time, take care, and I'll see you then.